Okay, back in the 80s and 90s, people had to do things in ways to us now seem completely mad. They lived like medieval peasants, but with perms. Fortunately, technology evolved, and now everything is just inside our smartphones. Except for regret, that still lives in our heads. Now let's look at 3 examples of how the past was stupid and the present is slightly less stupid. Back in the day, if you wanted to record yourself speaking, you had to use a cassette tape recorder. It was a magical device that lets you capture your own voice and play it back later. So you could hear yourself and realize, to your horror, that you actually sound like that. People use cassettes for everything, taking notes, recording messages, making mixtapes for people they liked but were too scared to talk to. A mixtape was basically a romantic PowerPoint presentation, but with wham instead of slides. Now thanks to technology, we don't have to carry around clunky tape recorders or risk the pain of untangling a cassette tape that's been eaten by the machine. Instead, we have voice messages, quick, easy, and instantly regrettable. Now instead of carefully curating our words, we just ramble into our phones and send whatever nonsense comes out. Now that's what I call progress. Back in the day, when Sony released the first PlayStation in 1994, it was a revolution in gaming. It had 3D graphics, a CD drive, and loading screens that gave you just enough time to question your life choices. People sat in their bedrooms playing Crash Bandicoot, never realizing they were witnessing the dawn of a new era. Fast forward to today, we have the PlayStation 5, an incredibly powerful machine that still mostly exists as a concept because nobody can actually find one in stock, except me. It has hyper-realistic graphics, lightning-fast load times, and controllers that can simulate textures so accurately that you can feel the dirt as you crash in Gran Turismo 7. But at its core, it's still the same. It's a machine that lets people sit in a dark room and ignore their responsibilities. Some things just never change. In the 90s, if you wanted to take a photo, you needed a film camera. You had to load it with film to take your photos blindly and then wait several days for them to be developed, only to discover that half of them were blurry and your thumb was in the other half. Now we have smartphone cameras, which allow us to take thousands of photos instantly. Instead of having a few treasured pictures, we now have entire galleries filled with identical selfies we'll never look at again. And yet, despite having cameras that can capture images sharper than reality itself, people still insist on taking photos with filters that still make them look like melted candies. Looking at history, it's clear that everything humans once used separately, recorders, cameras, game consoles, has been absorbed into one device, the smartphone. It's a calculator, a map, a flashlight, and occasionally something we use to make phone calls. So how will I embrace technology? Simple. I'll continue to let it do more and more of my thinking for me. I'll rely on AI assistants to write my messages, use voice notes so I don't have to type, and take so many photos that I forget to actually experience life. Because if history has taught me anything, it's that no matter how much technology advances, humans will always find a way to use it in the most ridiculous way possible. Hey Google, graduate for me.
Sure, but that's what I'm already doing.